So value is an interesting thing. Take this silver dollar, for instance. A silver dollar, Morgan silver dollar. I guess he was the engraver back at the U.S. Mint and Treasury. I don't know. I don't care. Here's the thing. It is an 1891 Morgan silver dollar. And yeah, cool. So how much is it worth? What is its value? Well, now, if I were to take it to the grocery store and say, here's a silver dollar, they would say it's worth $1. It's a silver dollar. That's why they call it a dollar, you know, U.S. legal tender, all that stuff. To the point of U.S. legal tender, if I were in France and I wanted to buy a baguette and I gave them a silver dollar, they'd say, that's worthless. That is, we expect euro. So then let's say that instead I melt it down and sell the silver. It's about 90% silver, 10% copper. What's the silver worth? Well, when you get right down to it, it's probably 20 bucks. 20 bucks of silver in this thing, okay? But it's an 1891 Morgan silver dollar. There are collectors who think this thing's pretty badass. What's it worth to a collector? Well, now, this coin has been in circulation, so it's not mint. To a collector, it's worth somewhere between $40 and $90. I don't know. I didn't do a lot of research into this. I just checked it out. $40 to $90. Okay. So we've gone from $0 to $1 to $20 to somewhere between $40 and $90. To me, the value of this silver dollar is priceless. There is no amount of money that anybody would be willing to offer for which I'd be willing to part with this thing. Now, why is that? This silver dollar used to belong to my father. My father, who actually passed away 1 year ago today. And he had it since he was a teenager, probably got it for mowing lawns or something like that. And he kind of kept it as his good luck charm, and he kept it his whole life. He passed away when he was 79. More about that in a moment. And he actually had to spend it a couple of times. He got into a fix and needed money and this was all he had with him, right? No debit cards back then. And each time he spent it, one time he had to buy gas with it, he got it back. It came back to him, sometimes by design, sometimes by happenstance. It just so happened. It always came back around to him. So he kept it in his wallet as a good luck charm. Now, when I was a kid, I did as kids do, and I would sneak into his room and check out his wallet and pull this thing out. It was pretty caked with, hard leather back then and so forth. And every wallet he used, a little indentation would show up on the wallet because he had this with him in his back pocket his whole life. His whole life. Because one day he decided he was going to hike the Colorado Trail. I don't know if it's transcontinental. I don't think it's transcontinental. But it's the Colorado Trail, 800 miles or something or another. He was going from, I guess, somewhere in Denver to Durango. And he always said, you know what? One day they're just going to find my body in a tent. He said this for years. He was an outdoorsman. He would go out. He had no intention of going to a retirement home, old folks home, what have you. Someday they're going to find my body in a tent. Well, on July 26, 2023, somebody found his body in a tent. So my wife and I, we drove out to Leadville to pick up his things. He died just outside of Leadville. And he just had a couple things with him that were worth keeping. One of them was his wallet. Special wallet for hiking. I opened up his wallet, and lo and behold, he had his silver dollar with him. So yeah, to me, this thing is priceless. So that means I need to make a stand for it. I want to put it on display. I'm not going to carry it in my wallet. That'd just be stupid. What kind of idiot carries around an 1891 Morgan silver dollar in their wallet? So I want to make a display stand, and that's what I'm going to do today. I picked up some, what is this? Walnut Peruvian, some nice hardwood. Never done anything like this before. Doesn't need to be good, just needs to be functional. So that's what we're going to do. Now, I don't want to So, was I close to my father? You know, that's always a complicated thing, isn't it? Right? Our relationship with our parents, especially a son with his father. I don't know that I would say close. I mean, I loved him. Sure, I loved him. But, you know, I have some friends who were really, really close with their fathers. And when their fathers passed away, I mean, they were really messed up. They were really upset. They were really grieving. And I was like, what the hell's wrong with you? My father would come to visit 3 or 4 times a year, and I always looked forward to his visits, and I always looked forward to when he left. I respected my father. I admired my father. I emulated my father where I could, and I enjoyed my father's company to a degree. I don't know that I'd say close, though. You know, I'm from a generation where you don't necessarily need to see your father as your best friend. You just need to respect and admire your father. And if your father has your respect and admiration, that's a win right there. Funny thing is, my brother and I, we met for the memorial, what have you. And a lot of people said, oh my gosh, Lon, you really remind me of your father, my mannerisms, the way I speak. And it's true. It's true. A lot of the ways I express myself I got from my father. And the funny thing is, I was there with my brother. He's 2 years younger than me. And every once in a while, I would see my father in my brother. And I mentioned to him, I said, you know what? It's really something to think. Here, you and I are both in our late 50s. And we were only with our father for 18 years. We both skedaddled when we turned 18. I said, you know, we were only with him for 18 years, and yet look at how much he influenced who we are. And he said, well, let's be honest. He wasn't really with us that much during those 18 years. And he was right. Our father was working. He was trying to make ends meet, raising 2 boys and so forth. And we didn't see much of him. We didn't care to see much of him. And when we did see our father, we knew we had to be on our best behavior. And we were a little afraid. So, yeah, complicated relationship. As I got older, of course, we related more, spent more time together, appreciated and understood where the other was coming from more, and our relationship evolved there. And that was a good thing. So what I did was I found this plexiglass place that could custom cut some plexiglass plates for me. And the hole that I had them cut for the coin is a little too large, but that's fine. Maybe one day I'll recut it. But this is going to kind of make a nice little stand for this thing. Kind of cool. Here I am thinking I'm cleaning it up and I'm scratching it up. All right, whatever. All right, maybe one day I'll take it apart and clean it or recut it or something, but yeah, that's what happens when an amateur does this crap. So I'm pulling out these feather boards. All right, so a couple things. First of all, they're my father's feather boards. And second, until 3 days ago, I didn't know what these things were. I had to take a picture of them with Google Lens, and it said, yeah, it's a feather board. It's used for table saws. So I watched a YouTube video on it, and I thought, oh my gosh, I can totally use this for making the stand. So yeah, thanks, Dad. So I've never worked with hardwood before, so I didn't know how this table saw or the blade or anything would react to it. I mean, it worked, but check out all the smoke coming from this thing. So I'm fiddling with this thing, trying to get the slot for the plexiglass just perfect, right in the center of the base. But it turns out I can't measure worth squat, so it's nowhere near center. However, it turns out that kind of helps the base stay a little bit more stable as the plexiglass leans over a little. So, you know what? Happy mistakes. I'll take them. And here it is. No, it didn't turn out the way I had. Well, it turned out exactly the way I figured it would turn out. However, it's not neat, it's not clean, it's not well done. There's a gap in here because the screws weren't the right size given the thickness of the plexiglass. The hole is too large, so the coin kind of rattles around in there as though I'm going to be moving this thing much. And a few other things, but I kind of count this as a proof of concept, if you will. I actually had a better idea on how to do something similar to this, but with a picture of my father included. And so I think I'll be doing that. However, you know what? I wanted to have this done by his anniversary, and I got it done. And until I find the time and will and so forth to redo it, this will work just fine in my office. And so, yeah, turned out all right. So anyway, thanks for joining me on this journey. I appreciate it. And we'll see you again later.